What is going on YouTube today? I am here to talk about the Joshua Van versus Alexandre Pantoja 2 card coming on UFC 331. I'm going to talk about all the cards. I'm going to talk about UFC 333. I'm also going to talk about the fight nights that were also just announced. Starting off with Joshua Van versus Alexandre Pantoja. This is finally a flyweight main event that deserves to be a main event. We've had multiple Alexandre Pantoja fights that were main events that no one cared about. Like, whenever he fought Kaya Sakura, that was not a banger main event. Like whenever he fought Steve Erceg, that was not a main event, okay? That was just LARPing as a main event. We all know this is actually a real main event. I got to give a shout out to the UFC. I'm okay with this one being a main event, okay? I'm okay with it. It's not the end of the world to me, okay? Even though it's a flyweight fight, this is a real deal, no joke, sick fight. And that's mostly because who we got as the current champ. We have Joshua Van coming in as champion, coming off an absolute banger fight, okay, against Tatsuro Taira, okay. His boxing, elite. His takedown defense, okay. My question is on the ground against Alexandre Pantoja. Honestly, I can't believe how close these odds are. If I had to pick right now, I'm picking Joshua Van, and it's not necessarily close, okay? Alexandre Pantoja is 36 years old, coming off of an arm break. What do you guys expect out of him? What do you guys really expect? Like, he's old. He's coming off a real injury. Like, and he's going to have to come up against a young killer. A young killer like Joshua Van. I don't like that matchup for the guy. I can't lie. Like, there's nothing about a Joshua Van matchup for Alexandre Pantoja that I'm like, yeah, I like that matchup for him. Other than if he can take his back. You know, if he can get those takedowns and take his back. I think it's kind of slept upon, but I think Pantoja showed cardio issues in the Kai Kara France fight. I know he got the finish in the second or third round, but that second round, he was kind of getting touched up, and it looked like he was tired. In the second round, Joshua Van's got that 5-round cardio, man. I'm worried for Pantoja. I'm rooting for Pantoja. I want him to win. I think that he can get the sub, but I just can't pick off of a sub, man. You got to give me Joshua Van here. Give me Van probably by late round stoppage. I got to watch some film. Obviously, this is an early round prediction, but I don't like this matchup for Pantoja, especially not at this current stage in his career, coming off against this big injury. This is Joshua Van's time to shine, time to take over the flyweight division and take over the belt. He's one of those guys that really could be a superstar if he had a better personality, but the guy's personality is pretty meh. I can't lie to you. But, yeah, man, Alexandre Pantoja, I really can't get over how disrespectful Joshua Van was to Pantoja, man. Pantoja has given his life to fighting and to just say, like, yeah, we don't care about your story. Like, bro, this guy sacrificed so much to be here, man. Don't say that to Pantoja. But next up, we have Arman Tsarukyan versus Mauricio Hoofi. Mauricio Hoofi, man, what a terrible matchup, okay? Although it is the right matchup to be made, okay, I do think that it does make sense since Oliveira's obviously dropping out because of the death of his teammate. You know, rest in peace. I can't believe the UFC didn't do more for that, to be honest. Alan Nascimento. I mean, that's so disrespectful for them. Like, God, come on, man. The guy lost his life, and you're not going to have any tribute. Like, I think they had put up a title card at the end of one of, like, a fight night. Like, come on, man. Can we do a little more for the guy? But, yeah, that was super disrespectful. But anyway, Arman Tsarukyan versus Mauricio Hoofi. This is a terrible matchup for Mauricio Hoofi, okay? Like, you could talk me into Mauricio Hoofi beating a guy like Ilia Topuria. You genuinely could. I would pick Hoofi over Topuria probably, just kind of as that sneaky kind of upset pick. Unless Topuria decided he doesn't want to knock him out. If he said in like the interviews, yeah, I'm going to try to submit Mauricio Hoofi, then I would pick Topuria. But because I would assume that Topuria would just want to show off his striking against Hoofi and want that knockout and go for that knockout kind of like he did against Gaethje, then I would pick Topuria to Hoofi to win the fight, right? Because I think he's a just overall bad matchup for Topuria on the feet. But that's not the matchup we get. We get Arman against Mauricio Hoofi, okay? Arman, I don't think you can pick a worse matchup for Mauricio Hoofi, okay? I know he's been working with Alexander Volkanovski. I know that for a fact, okay? So I know that he's got to be at least getting a little bit better in that takedown defense in what he does, right? So, and that's a really good thing, right? So if he's working with Craig Jones, he's working this Craig Jones specifics, maybe we're actually going to see a more developed we're going to see a more developed Mauricio Hoofi. The problem is it has literally been, a year? Less than a year? I think it was September I think it was last September. So I think we're going to be looking at exactly a year since the BSD fight. You simply can't get that much better at the takedown defense. Arman is going to take him down and submit him rather early. Probably give me a round 1 or round 2 submission for Arman Tsarukyan. Not sure why this fight got announced. Patricio Pitbull versus Doo-Ho Choi as the third fight of the night, as the featured fight. Pitbull is clearly past his prime, but Doo-Ho Choi is that man. But maybe let's have him open up the card instead. Moicano versus Ortega. I don't like this matchup. I don't think Ortega deserves to honestly start his lightweight career inside the rankings. Like maybe like the 15th guy. Like put him up against like Beneil Dariush, that's like an absolute washed banger. But Moicano just came off a great win against Chris Duncan, and then we're gonna immediately throw him to Brian Ortega. I know they got beef or whatever, but I thought Moicano meant more. I thought he could have got a better matchup here. I thought he could have got maybe like, I don't know. He already beat BSD, so I don't really know what you do with him at the top of the division. But Alonzo Minifield versus Iro Baranuski. I mean, someone's going to get knocked out. I mean, that's obvious. Gable Stevenson getting another can, and Marlon Vera is going to lose a 29-28 split decision. I'm just kidding. This is easy. Nah, Charles Jourdain's low-key good. Did he lose his last fight? I thought he lost it. Oh, he won. He beat Kyler Phillips. Okay. I remember he was looking pretty good in this fight. I don't remember him winning, though. And then Tai Tuivasa against Rebelsa Spain is the greatest matchup the UFC has probably ever made in its history. Unfortunately, I mean, get the casket ready for Tuivasa, dude. I'm sorry, bro. Rebelsa Spain by first round knockout. I mean, maybe, dude, at least Tuivasa's more active. Maybe that'll help him out. You can't pick Tuivasa, though. Not in your right mind. Come on. Oh, wait. Is this a shit-talking Asian? Is he fighting on this card? That's pretty elite. Michael Asswell probably wants that. Michael Asswell's pretty nasty. Now we got UFC 333. Not sure why they haven't announced 332 yet. I think it's pretty obvious, and that's because Kayla Harrison is going to be your main event. Unfortunately for that card, I just feel it. I feel it's going to come. It's going to be Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes main event, which honestly, if it's any girls' fight to be a main event, it should be that one. That is actually kind of a banger. I can't lie. That's actually a banger. Okay, like they're genuinely fighting for GOAT status of the women's like league. Like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we're getting a card within. We're getting 3 cards in like a 4-week span, or a 5-week span. So I really can't complain that much. But now we got Alexander the Great Volkanovski against Movsar Evloev. Do I think Volkanovski is getting worse? Yes. Do I think Volkanovski has lost a step? I just said the same thing. Yes, he has definitely lost a step. The thing is this is his best matchup that you could possibly pick for the guy. I don't think that there's a single matchup that is like somewhat realistic that is better than a Movsar Evloev matchup. I simply don't know how Volkanovski loses this fight. His grappling is too good to just get brutally mogged by Movsar Evloev and to just be held against the fence. It's not happening, folks. It's not happening. Volkanovski's getting his second title defense, and he's going to stay the second pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. And you're going to tell me that Movsar can compete with Volkanovski in the striking? There's no way. There's no way he can compete with Volkanovski in the striking. It's Volk. You think Movsar is going to be... Listen, I actually picked Movsar to beat Lerone. I actually agreed with the judging. The thing is, man, Movsar's striking looked terrible. It looked terrible. I got to rewatch the fight, obviously. But listen, Volkanovski, I think people like to hate on his last performance. He 50-45 Diego Lopez, who's the second best contender in the lightweight division. He 50-45'd him, okay? And it's the reason why he didn't look as springy or as jabby. It's because he was using a good game plan. He understood the only way this guy beats me is if he knocks me the hell out. So guess what? I'm probably not going to engage, and I'm going to jab and feint at range. And that's exactly what Volkanovski did. Volkanovski's at the part of his career, he does not care if he has an entertaining fight. He's there to win fights, okay? And he's going up against another guy that doesn't care if he's entertaining. And this is why Volkanovski won't win this fight, okay? And Volkanovski is going to move himself into the top probably 7 of the GOAT debate. I mean, we can look at my MMA GOAT debate. If you type in MMAGOATlist.com, you can check out my GOAT list right here. This is all computerized with stats. He passes up he probably jumps up to, if he gets this win, he's probably 6 all-time in the GOAT list behind GSP, Jones, Islam, DJ, and Pereira. He's probably 6. If he's able to get a definitive win against a guy like Movsar Evloev, he's going to jump up to 6. But again, if he loses, this isn't even bad for his all-time resume. This is just what he does. Okay, I mean, like, yeah, he's a 37-year-old dude. I don't know what you expect out of Alexander Volkanovski, but shout out to Volkanovski. He's going to beat Movsar. It sucks that it's at the time it is. It's at 1 p.m. It's in Abu Dhabi. They get all the good fights, but whatever. It's okay. It's okay. Next up, with the co-main event of the evening, Petr Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. This is a banger. Okay, I simply cannot wait for this matchup. The thing is, the only thing that makes this matchup truly interesting to me is that Petr Yan is coming off of back surgery. What does that do to a guy? And he's also waited 10 months for this fight. He got the back surgery in December, okay? So a guy like Petr Yan, who's already 32 years old, is going to be coming off a major surgery and going against the machine. I don't want to pick Merab. I want to pick Petr Yan. If you watch the second fight, there's nothing in me that says, hey, 10 months later that this is going to look differently, right? And I actually kind of agree with Lucas. Lucas was saying, hey, I don't think that you're going to see a different version of Merab. You're not going to see a necessarily better version of Merab. Okay? I know he was fighting, but this is how Merab is. Merab is on the spectrum, and that's okay. Like, we have to understand that Merab has like genuine like mental disabilities. Okay, he has a little bit of autism. He's a little touched. I think he would even agree that he's a little touched. He's like 80 IQ. Okay, so I don't think that was necessarily like, oh, it was a game plan problem against Yan. Oh, it was Merab goes 100% day in and day out. Merab goes as hard as he possibly can constantly. Okay, so I don't think it was necessarily a Merab problem against Yan. Merab has probably fought as hard in the gym probably 10 times since the Yan fight, just trying to get out of his mind. Okay, he's active in RAF. Merab fights, okay, and Merab fights all the freaking time. The thing is I don't know what Petr Yan's back looks like. There's a reason why he took 11 months off in between his last fights. You honestly could have made an argument for an interim to be had, okay? Because how long Yan has been out. Like, if we knew that he was going to be out till October, you could have done like a O'Malley versus, I mean, you want to do O'Malley Merab 3? I think your best excuse is to do it for an interim. But to be fair, who wants to see that? But like, is Merab even there anymore? We don't know. We don't know because he's coming off a loss. We have never seen Merab coming off a loss. I think this is super 50-50 because of the back surgery, because of the question mark, is Petr Yan still Petr Yan? And I'm probably going to go with Petr Yan. And I just can't pick that he's going to wither at 32 years old. Now, if the age is swapped, right, if Petr Yan was the 35-year-old and Merab was the 32-year-old, maybe that I can make the argument, hey, he's 35 years old. He's coming off back surgery. There's no way that he's going to be able to beat this guy. But he's 32. He's exiting out of his prime. Probably the last great Petr Yan fight that you will ever see, because in the next fight, he probably loses to Sean O'Malley, if I had to be honest with you. Petr Yan, I'm going to have him more than likely beating Merab, but also this is all pre-film, okay? And then also going on with this card, we have Alexander Volkanovski versus Rizvan Kuniev. We can talk about Loner Kavanaugh versus Ramazan Timera first. Ramazan's a problem. He's a problem, and I think he's gonna beat the crap out of Loner. I hate to say it. Like, I think I hold Steve Erceg in pretty high regard. Okay, I think Steve Erceg's a problem. I think he's a real... Okay, again, back to the Joshua Van versus Pantoja fight. If Steve Erceg is giving prime Pantoja on the feet problems, what is Joshua Van going to do? You're telling me that Joshua Van isn't a much better boxer than Steve Erceg? Like, you just can't make that argument to me that Pantoja is going to beat Joshua Van unless he takes his back and subs him. If that's your only argument, that's fine, okay? But unless you believe he's going to take his back and sub him, I simply can't get there with you mentally. I got to watch film. Of course, this is all pre-film watching. But yeah, I think Ramazan Timera is probably going to style on Loner Kavanaugh. The Twink, and now Alexander Volkov versus Rizvan Kuniev. It's a great matchup. Kuniev and Volkov is a great matchup, okay? I honestly didn't realize how tall Kuniev was until his last fight against Tyler Fortune. He's 6'4". He's a huge goon, okay? Huge goon, okay? So whenever he's going to go out there and fight a guy like Alexander Volkov, who is 6'7", I don't know how that matchup's going to play out. I'm definitely going to do a deep film breakdown for this fight, especially. I'm probably will do it for the Loner Kavanaugh fight too. But this is a really interesting fight to me to see how this necessarily plays out. Like, I probably am going to go with Alexander Volkov by throwing the jab. But if Volkov wins this, he needs his title shot. This is getting ridiculous at this point. I will rather have Volkov fighting for the belt next, rather than rather than Pereira, rather than Pavlovich, rather than Hokit. Volkov needs his shot. This is getting crazy. And I think they actually made the right matchup. Okay, Pereira's obviously coming off the White House fight. That doesn't make sense. He's coming off a loss. Hokit, do you want to have him do another really quick turnaround, especially against a scary guy like Volkov? I don't think you want him to do that. And if Volkov wants to fight again, I think the only guy that kind of made sense was a Rizvan Guniev, right? And I don't think you want to do the third Pavlovich fight. You could, but the second Pavlovich fight, you could, but Volkov looks so good in that fight. I don't think you need to do it again. But yeah, I'm probably going to go with Alexander Volkov here. Now we have Arnold Allen versus Aaron Pico, one of the most interesting fights on the card. Because like Aaron Pico, every time I watch him, this guy looks like the best fighter in the world. He does, okay? Those first 3 minutes against Lerone Murphy, just insane. Just elite, okay? And then he got chinned. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do with this guy? This guy's got a paper chin. And I actually think Arnold Allen, like before watching any film or anything, is going to probably flatline Aaron Pico. Just because of his chin. Aaron Pico is the better fighter. Like, if Aaron Pico doesn't get chinned, I'm probably going to pick Aaron Pico. Even though Arnold Allen's really good. He's really crafty. So this is, again, another 50-50 fight. Shout out to the UFC for just making an absolute banger of a card. I'm going to give this card an A+. I don't give out A+s for cards. I don't do that. But you have a number one contenders fight in Volkov versus Guniev. You have 2 championship fights, okay? Do you have a top 10 fight? Not only do you have a top 10 fight, you have a fight of Loner Kavanaugh versus Ramzan Tamarov. Way better than that. Do you have another top 15 fight? Yeah, you have Arnold Allen, who's top 5 in his division against Aaron Pico. Absolute banger. And then do you have a cool Yeah, I got Dominic Reyes and Azamat Murzakanov, who's number 8. That's a phenomenal fight. Okay, and then Abus Magomedov, who's ranked. Okay, like this card really just doesn't get much better. I got to give a shout out to the UFC. This is a banger card. This is like maybe the best card of the year. On paper, I think you could make the argument that the McGregor card was also pretty elite, other than obviously not having that championship fight, but it was having the return of Conor McGregor. So I think if we're talking about like on paper, what's a better card, I think you can make the argument for this. Like I don't think the Patty Gaethje card was that elite. I don't think obviously the next Volk card was an elite. The Oliveira versus Max card was pretty awful. And then in April, you had the Miami card, which was pretty good. You had Blades against Hokit on that card, especially with Olberg and Yuri Prohaska. That was pretty cool. And then in May, you had Hamzat versus Strickland, another banger card. So I think it's up there for one of the cards of the year, probably with the Hamzat Strickland card, the April card with Yuri versus Carlos Olberg, and then I think obviously the White House card has to be in that conversation, right? But just on paper, this is looking like a absolute banger of a fight. Okay, now let's go check out some of these fight nights that were also just announced. Starting off with, we could start off with probably Buckley versus Mallet has been announced for a while. You guys don't need my opinions on that. But I think that we need to talk about Buckley versus, no, not Buckley versus Mallet. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about, Geez, they don't have it on here. I was going to talk about Brady versus Bonfim. I think that is a sneaky number one contenders fight for 170. I'm sorry. I don't want to see Michael Morales fighting for a title shot. He has not fought since November. We need people who are active in the sport. I'm tired of guys fighting. Like, why does Michael Morales make weight and then not fight? There's no reason for that, in my opinion. You're telling me Michael Morales couldn't get a fight against Yaroslav Amislov on this card? Are you kidding me? That's a banger fight. And like talking about an Ian Gary matchup in the future, I think Ian Gary versus Yaroslav Amislov makes a lot of sense. I think Yaroslav needs to be pushed up in those, kind of top 10 conversations. Because if you look at the bottom 10s of welterweight's pretty lean. I have to be honest. Like, I know it's supposedly this really good division, but you have guys like Leon Edwards, you have guys like Kamaru Usman at like 8 and 9, like guys that would filter in to fight in the top 10. Like Buckley is coming off a loss. Yaroslav's 11, so he's like an interesting candidate there. And then of course, you got Brady versus Bonfim, which is super fun. But yeah, guys, so that's all my thoughts on all the fights just got announced. I appreciate you guys for watching. See you later. Bye.